Graham, good to see you again.
Yeah.
Busy fixture list ahead now with the festive period upon us. I'll first of all start with just how you are, bodies-wise, going into this cluster of games.
Full squad, full squad. So there's, touch wood, no one on the treatment table at the moment. So everyone's training, everyone's competing with each other, and there's some decisions to make, not just with the team, but obviously the bench as well, because we got a lot of players. So it's good to have them back, to be honest. Look, I've already spoke previously about it, but you don't ever want to see players injured and not being out on that pitch, training and enjoying their football. So it's good to see the lads that are out there now, and for the first time, really, we're getting a consistent eye on some of them. So it's good for us.
Must be the $1 million question for both you and Chris right now, but how do you keep everybody happy?
The simple answer to that is you can't. That's it. I think you have to treat people with respect. You have to be honest with any conversation you have with them. But that's it. And train them as hard as they expect to be trained, and not sort of ignored. That's the biggest thing for me. Is not ignoring anyone. Everyone's got an opportunity to train and show what they can do. But you have to sort of come to terms with there's going to be players that are slightly despondent, a little bit disappointed if they're not involved. I'd be slightly perturbed if it was the other way around, to be honest. If you've got 24 players all hoping or expecting to play, and you see 5 or 6 not fussed about not playing, then I think that's a worse sight, to be honest. So, but what I would say is the player, I've not seen any players not training hard, not working well, showing the respect for the players that are in the team, which I think is a big aspect of a proper squad working well together, is they understand that not just the results from the team, but the performance has been really good, and the players that are in the team are good players.
Yeah. And how hard is it then to get into a team that is playing so well like they are at the moment?
Well, it's as hard as it needs to be, really. I'm not going to be making unnecessary changes. I'm not that type of manager. I think I like to reward. I think I said to you last week. I like to reward performances and results with the shirt again. I think that's the weekly sort of target for every player to aim for, really. And so it's I would say I think I've had conversations with players that are not in the team at the moment. I've had conversations with players not in the squad at the moment, and some they've knocked on my door, some I've pulled them into the office just to them to get to understand how we run things, how we manage a team and a squad, but also to give them an idea of what we expect from them, and they can show us in training so they can get into the team. So it's just one. I'd rather it this way, where I have decisions to make, and I have to sort of not manage people, so to speak, but have that communication with people, rather than not having decisions to make and only having a bare 11 to pick from. That's not a position I want to be in as a manager.
Did John Tomkinson take his chance? Will he keep that shirt?
That would be telling you the team. So no, look, like I said, I want to reward performances and results with the shirt. So, but he was he was penciled in to play the week before. And I didn't see anything in between the postponed game against Salford and then obviously the Gillingham game to change it. I thought he deserved his opportunity. I think he'd played well in the cup. He trained really well, and I thought he was excellent as well as the other players. But so we'll see when we name the team. But like I said, I'll give it away really with me saying I don't change the team for too much. But I also have to, it's not a case of slogging people to death either. If I see a player struggling energy wise, because we know what our output needs to be in any game, and they could have played the full game the week before, but if they're struggling for the next one, then I'll make a decision for the benefit of the team. So the individual sort of management what I put in place is that carrot of winning your shirt, but I also have to balance it with what's best for the team. So I always try to get that balance right. I won't always get it right, but it's got to be some sort of consistency in how I pick a team. So, but we have a very busy period, as you said. 4 games in 8 days coming up. So I'd be surprised if we played the same 11 in all 4 games.
when I look at someone like Bobby Point and Harry Chapman, who obviously weren't in the matchday squad on Saturday, and where they've played in their careers positionally, and the system that you're playing right now, is there a challenge for them to diversify their game to try and fit into the system that's being played?
Well, we've given the opportunity to do that in the Cup, because Harry and Bobby have both played as the sort of 8 in the midfield 3. And we've tried a couple of things in training with different formations, like a 3-4-3, so to speak, and a front 3, which opens the door up for not only those two but a couple of other players. Because I want to know what we have in the building. So I'm not just going to cut off a quarter of the squad just because we're playing this formation. What I want to do is try and when we get through the season, see the players which deserve to be picked and find a structure that fits those. And that's how we've come with this formation, because of the players we had available and playing at the time. But if it changes in the future, it can change, and I just want to know as much about the players as possible. And I wanted to see if they can take up. I think I said it in the first couple of weeks that I don't just pigeonhole any particular player in one pocket of the pitch. I'll try to look at their attributes and see where they could be a benefit for us as a team.
Is that, I've asked you this before, but is that picture becoming ever more clearer now as you go into January? And will you use all of January, still the time available in that window, to still make judgments on players? Yeah,
I think so. Because I've not been here for 5-6 months, so I know everything about every player. There's still, just had a conversation with one of the guys who hasn't played for us yet. And I'm saying there's probably 6 or 7 in that boat where I've not had the opportunity. I've seen them every day in training, but the games are a different level and different sort of window of opportunity for me to see how players react to match scenarios. I'm not going in blind. I've seen them play before and all that sort of thing. I've seen them train, but until we ask put demands on them and expectations in a game, that's when they respond to that, and we can see if they can do that or not. But there's still probably 6 or 7 players that haven't had that opportunity, so they might get that opportunity between now and the start of January. They might get that through January, and so we'll only try to make decisions when we're pretty certain on the decision we're making is the right one. If we're a little bit unsure about it, then we'll try to give ourselves more time. But obviously, when you get towards the end of January, that time frame becomes short, and it probably accelerates your decision making a little bit.
The team are obviously on a great run right now, 5 successive wins. How do you go about harnessing that momentum and, I guess, keep it going?
I think it's a balance. I still think we can improve. So the harnessing, I actually want to let it go. I want it to expand. I want it to sort of run with itself a little bit. So I still think there's improvements we can make. And that's outside of the results. The results are great for us. We're delighted with the players producing those results and the team. But I still think there's things that we will gradually get better at. Going week to week or every 3 days in games was very difficult to get training time. Then the weather's been a bit it's caused a bit of havoc with us. But I think as we get more games with each other and with the players, we can ask for improvements. We can work towards improving, because we're not the finished article by a long shot. But what we've done is made good progress in the last month or so, and but we have to understand that the progress has to continue if we want to have a positive season. So. There's a balance with us. We want to take the positivity, the confidence from performances and results, but never get complacent or satisfied with what we've done in 5 games, because the season's a lot longer than that, and we're going to get many more challenges along the way.
Final couple from me, just on January and recruitment, and I guess conversations that you'll have with Ryan, with Stephen Gent as well. How does that dynamic work for you? Are they suggesting players to you? You give it a yes or a no? Are you going to them with players that you'd like to inquire about? How does it work?
Well, at the moment, it's us ascertaining what we have in the building.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So it's not like, oh yeah, he's a good player, but it's like, well, where do we need to improve? And that's the particular profile of player that we need to add to the ability and the quality we already have. So I certainly don't want 50 different players being thrown at me in different positions where we've got 5 players for that position already. So it's it's probably as much as I'm learning how Ryan and Stephen want to work or have worked so far. It's them probably learning about me and what we need for the team as well. So I think that's through constant dialogue and communication. And we had a chat the other day, went through the squad completely, and I'm pretty certain he will help us. I'm not sure about this guy because he hasn't had the opportunity yet and stuff like that, as I just explained. So, I don't think there's vast amounts for us to bring in. I don't want to anyway, because I've spoke before about the number, the approximate number we want to work with. But we can't be ignorant or blind to the fact that if we can improve, then we have to try and take that opportunity. That's the thing that we have to be quite disciplined with and stringent with ourselves, that if there's somebody there that we think can help this group be even better, then we have to do our best to try and add that guy to our group. And but like I said before, it's not a long list. It's not a half a team to get. I'm delighted with what the players have shown in the last month or so, and hopefully that will continue. But so we'll just keep in constant dialogue, and if there's something we can do, I'm sure we'll try to do it.
And just finally, I wanted to ask you about Jamie Walker's form of late and how important he's been to this team. Not always played as an 8 in his career, but it was something that he said after the game on Saturday that he's really enjoying that opportunity.
Yeah, I think Jamie's one of those players that you could probably play him at centre half and he'd do a good job for you. You know what I mean? I think he might get beat in the air a little bit on crosses, but no, I do. I genuinely think I think he's an intelligent footballer who absolutely commits to every training session. He's flying around, leaving a bit on people sometimes in training, but fully committed. Putting himself in harm's way sometimes. Where you sort of wince a little bit, but comes out. He wants to win. He wants to compete. He wants to be a proper footballer, and I love that about him. So I think look, he's there in that formation at the moment, but I think I think he's a guy with a lot of tools in the box to play football, and I think if you've got that energy, that commitment, that intelligence, then you open yourself up to being picked a lot, because you're very versatile. And but no, I've been delighted with Jamie. I think he's getting into the areas that we're encouraging him and Gilly and Clark Adore and Alex Patterson, all those guys to keep getting those attacking areas, because we know the quality they have. I've been delighted with Jay. He's done really well. I think he's one of a group that's done really well, and I think they're enjoying how we want to do things. I think if whatever challenge we put in training, they're up for it, and I'm sure it'll continue, because I think he's been really consistent for Bradford as a club, and I knew about his qualities up in Scotland when I first went up there. So he's doing really well. So hopefully I'm sure it will continue.
Thanks, Craig.
Okay.
Obviously, with the games coming thick and fast as they are, how do you get the preparation in for the next game when there isn't that much time to do the training and all the usual stuff?
Yeah, well, look, we focus on the next one. You know what I mean? So I'm not here planning the training sessions for the games after Morecambe and Stockport and analysing them. I think I try to focus I'll say as much, it's everything on the next challenge. So we're fully focused and concentrated on our game on Friday night against Doncaster, and then as soon as that game's finished, park it or try and review it as much as quickly as possible. Probably by lunchtime next day it's fully reviewed, and then we take what we can that's relevant for the next game and then start the planning ahead. So you have to learn quite quickly in English football. You have to work quickly and efficiently. I think that's the most important word I can use, really. But what it is, it's not just me. I've got my assistant Chris, I've got Matt Truman, Colin Dorr, the support staff, the analysts. So we try to park it into little bits where we can all come together and have the plan ready for the next game. So it's there's a lot of work that goes in, but it's not just on my shoulder. Ultimately, it's my responsibility, but there's a lot of work that goes in by the other boys that do it really well, and they're getting to learn what I need to plan for the next game. So, I'm used to it. It's been an English game for a long time, and you have to be prepared. And listen, at the end of the day, it's one of them where because of the way we manage and coach, we don't change from game to game, considering the opposition. We want to get A game as best it can. So it's slight improvements rather than drastic changes. It helps to work in that sort of time frame in between games.
As you said, it's unlikely, given the number of games, that all 11 are going to play the same 11 every game. So presumably that's where the matchday squad becomes important as well, that you can then rest the player during the game if you think maybe they're tiring a bit. Yeah,
not rest. I don't think that's a word, but I think if they're not up to what the job needs right there and then, and they're lagging a little bit, then we've got good players on the bench who can go and improve the performance or keep it where it is, and that's what we've been delighted with. We were talking about this week that the physical output of the players that we brought on Saturday, vastly made the team jump again. And you could see that in the energy they gave us, and that's how a squad should work. So it's not about looking after a player, it's looking after the team and looking after the performance. That's what I would say. Looking after the result, that's what we would make subs for. But I'm not saying there will definitely be changes. Listen, if the same team gets through those 4 games, it's the same starting team, I would say that we've performed well and got good results. Hopefully that is the case, but we also have to understand we've got really good players and we have to protect the sort of performance of the team. And if I have to bring somebody out to bring somebody in and vice versa, I will do that. But I'm not looking to do that, but I've got to be ready and aware to do that if necessary. So, but we train away where the players are ready. Whoever comes into the team, they'll be ready to play, and that's what every player has to understand as well. When they're not in the team, they have to be ready to take that opportunity, because it could come tomorrow.
Presumably, the changes in the back room and the sports science and everything over the last 20-30 years have really helped that side of the game, that players are fit to play more games.
We were fit back in the day as well. Before we had that, I think there's a lot more knowledge there about things, but I think it comes down to the players' motivation and discipline and professionalism more than anything else. Listen, as a staff, we've got the expertise, we've got the intelligence to help players. But it's only help the players, we can't make the players. It comes down to that player's personality, his character, his discipline when he's not here, because we only have them for a certain amount of time during the day, and we can give them a plan and sort of information to do it, but it's whether they take it on board and actually go through with it, when they're not here. So there's a lot that goes into it, but there's a lot of information out there. Not all of it relevant. Some of it is, some of it isn't. So we try to have a balance about what's important for us and our team and our players and the characters. And ultimately, I'll be able to speak to a player knowing his character, whether he's ready to go again or not. And if they're honest, I think they'll be honest with us about the performance of the team and protecting that. But I wouldn't say they're any in a better place than we were 20 years ago, because I thought we knew how to run back then.
Okay, cheers. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Something about often you sort of say you can see the strength of a team by looking at the bench, names on the bench, and you sort of think, well, I mean, do you think, when people see the likes of Verdane Oliver, Alex Patterson, in that group coming on, they're starting to look at this Bradford City team and think they've actually got quite a few tools there?
I'd like to think so. I can't talk for other people and how other managers, coaches, or whatever see us, but I'd like to think that's what I said when I think when I first come in. A lot of the messages I got was Bradford City big club, but I wanted them to say Bradford City good team. That's what I want people to say, and hopefully we've shown that in the last 5 games. But like I say, there's still a long way to go for us, and we want to prove it at the end of the season when people look back at this year and go, that was a good team. That is a good team. So there's still work to do on that side. But I think it's more beneficial for the actual players on our team, rather than the opposition. I think for the 11 at start, look at the lads around and change them. I better be on it. Because he's a good player, he's a good player, and then when they do come on, they go, that's a good player coming on to help us win. I think that's how I would see it as a positive, rather than what it's saying to the opposition, what it's saying to us as a group of people, that we look around and we're respecting each other, but we're having each other as players and as people, because it's the character and personality of each individual is a big thing. It's not just about the technical abilities of a player; it's about how they buy into what the team needs and supporting their teammates and backing them up.
So presumably there's nothing worse than when a player's comfortable because they know there's nobody pushing for that position. Whatever, say they haven't got another number 2, haven't got another number 9, haven't got a winger.
Yeah.
They know that even if the performance level drops, they're still more than likely going to be playing the following week.
I think that I wouldn't put everyone in that. But there are individuals that need that stimulus of someone breathing down their neck. I think there's a lot of players that don't need it at all. That their competition with themselves and just wanting to win. So I would, but it is an aspect there. But it's more like injury, suspension, and then you're down to no support or no competition. But I think if you're a good pro, I think you can set your standards. But certainly that can be a factor in some players' eyes. Throughout football. But I think if you're a good pro and you're serious about your job, I don't think you need that extra stimulus of competition. But listen, I think it's a good place to be. And I'm talking about myself as a manager, having I've got decisions to make there, I've got decisions to make there. But I wouldn't look at every individual and think, well, he needs that stimulus of somebody competing for him. Because there are players that there isn't a load of competition, only 2 or 3. But their performances have still been top notch, so that's good for me to see. So, I think ultimately, if you want those players, I think ultimately you'll end up not being in the team because clubs are always looking to recruit. I realised that when I was a player, I could have been the only right back in the club, but I never convinced myself that they weren't looking at other right backs to come in. Maybe younger and faster. So that's it. But we want competition because I would say the biggest part, and me and Chris have spoke about it quite at length here, that what we have is we have really high level training sessions. It's not a load of seniors sort of beating young players. It's seniors against seniors, raising the standards, competing with each other for the team, and they know they have to be on their best level, even in training, to look like a good player. And that's where I think the competition has been really good for us, to be fair.
And obviously tomorrow night, what sort of game are you expecting from Donny?
The game I'm expecting is from us. What we want to do. Every team in professional level of England has got a good manager, a good coach, good players, organised. Analysis, all that sort of thing. It's really competitive in English football. So my expectations are on what my team can produce and what our players, the levels they've sort of got to in the recent month. Can they extend them? Can they improve them? Can they take them higher? Before we deal with the opposition, it's where can we get to with our performance. We know there's good teams that we're going to come up against all the time, regardless of where they are in the league or what their last result was or anything like that. We cannot let that come into our brain, into our psyche. Now that we've won the last 5, that's got to be. That is not going to win us a game tomorrow. I can guarantee that. And what we've done in the past, so we have to make sure that we understand why we've won those games. And repeat and then repeat and repeat, and that's where our success will come from, is our consistency of our mindset. So I'd rather focus on our players than the opposition.
Last question. Obviously, I know you're sort of looking at this game itself, but Christmas Day, are the players likely to be in, or are you going to give them a day off, or is it a sort of incentive for them?
No, we've got our we've got our structure, and. I've seen enough of the players and their characters and personalities not to have to say, if this happens, you will get this. I want to see my player. I want to trust my players. I want to give them a plan. That's our plan. I know they're going to be focused. I know they're going to work hard. I know they're going to do the right things. So we've got our structure in place. But that's for me and my players to know. I don't want to give anything away, but I don't. I like the players. I like to treat them like adults and let them plan ahead. Let them understand when they're going to be working, when they're going to be at home with their families, when they're going to be having GPS sessions, because I want to trust them, and I want them to understand that with trust comes responsibility. But but if they're responsible enough, then I'll take it onto the pitch. So yeah, we'll. Is that a good way of getting around that question?
Just about.
so no. Look, whether we're in training or not, the focus and the sacrifices that we have to make over the holiday period is still there. You know what I mean? And you know what we do here and what can't be exclusive to what we do at home. You know, and you don't get consistent results if you're going home and not living right. So what I've seen and hope continues is players that live right, do the right things, and are prepared to work hard when they're here. And you know, that's what we have to try and continue.